what I'm going to try to argue today is why your community needs to meet weekly. I think churches over time have, if they have like a small group mentality, like if they're small groups or life groups or whatever your group system is in your church, I think one thing that has happened is they look at people have busy lives and they try to make the entry into groups low. And so some groups only meet once a month. Some groups only meet every other week. I think we need to scrap that, and we need to make a consistent call to action to our groups that they meet weekly. And we really disciple people into why meeting weekly is so important and advantageous. And so my goal today is to convince you that your group should meet on a weekly basis. This is a conversation that we've had as my own community, because to be honest, my own church does do mostly every other week. Some might even meet monthly. But our personal missional community very much agreed, and I don't think there was much pushback for our group, but we were all kind of on the same page that meeting weekly is what's best. And I would argue it makes it easier. And that's what we'll get to, is meeting weekly is what's best for your group, and it makes things easier for you. And that's what I'm going to try to argue today. Just context, our kind of rules around kind of weekly attendance is everybody in our group gets one free pass, one free skip a month. And basically all that means is if you don't show up and don't tell anybody you're not coming, no one's going to be concerned. No one's going to reach out. No one's going to hey, what's going on? Just a free skip. The reality is most people, when they're taking their free skip, tells everyone, hey, I'm out of town for work, or, we got this thing going on, whatever it might be, and they skip. Not a big deal. If for some reason you've missed a second time in a row, someone from the group is going to reach out and just hey, you okay? What's going on? You missed twice this month. Just want to check in on you, make sure you're good. Really, this is just an accountability system, and just setting the expectations. It's hey, don't worry about missing once. If you miss twice, someone's going to check in on you. If you're missing twice in a month, that happens. Life is busy. Totally understand. But at least there's people who care about you and are going to commit to reaching out and making sure you're okay and things are good. And if there's anything kind of tension-wise there, it creates an opportunity to have that conversation, and to potentially mediate restoration within a relationship if that's happening. There's kind of some tension there. We're able to navigate those things because we're creating a safe place for people to engage in their coming and going. So that's what we do. Our community meets every week, one free skip a month, no asks, miss again or reach out. But this rhythm for us has been so fruitful. And one of the main reasons is it goes from a group being just another meeting that you're attending to a family gapper, and helps build that rhythm of this group is more than just a Bible study, but this is something that is important and fruitful to my life. So, the first argument I have for why we should meet weekly is rooted in one biblical idea and then one passage in particular. So it's kind of a point one, two parts, but that the idea that God created us to organize our lives around weekly rhythms. God created in a week, and then he rested, and he gave us the Sabbath to work and rest in 7-day cycles. And for us to organize our life within those 7-day schedules is advantageous to us, including the meeting of our community. Which then leads me to Hebrews 10, verses 24 and 25. Let me pull it up here. It says this: "Let us consider how we stir one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near." And so here the writer of Hebrews is calling us to stir one another to love and good works, and not to neglect to meet together, as are the case for some people in this community. Whoever, they're addressing here, they're saying, hey, there's people that aren't gathering together. We need to gather together regularly, and don't neglect to do this, because it stirs one another on to good works. It's encouraging one another, and it's leading, and it's even more important before the day comes. So my biblical argument is there's biblical wisdom in the 7-day cycle and not neglecting to meet with one another. And I think if you put those together, then it makes just kind of a biblical logical sense that gathering together should happen at least once a week. And I know that we have our big church gatherings, but I don't think that's the same. And I don't think our big church gatherings are really spurring us to encourage one another, stirring us to love and good works in the way that we would hope to. Like it doesn't give us the context to actually then love and do good works. The missional community, the smaller gathering, is the place where that can actually happen well. And so I think there's just a biblical backing behind this idea. I'm not going to say that it's commanded. I don't think that it's a command that you have to meet every week. But I think there's wisdom in it. So that's one. I think there's just a biblical backing for gathering in a smaller community once a week. 2, it allows for relational consistency. Being able to meet every week allows people to have the touch points, the actual relational touch points, to build meaningful, caring relationships. It allows the space to be able to build other rhythms in your life of familiarity with the people in the community. So I think this relational consistency is so important, because let's think about this. Let's say you're in a group, you meet every other week. Let's say there's 10 people in the group. You're not, maybe some of them you know better than others, but some of the people that you don't know as well misses one week. And so now, you're trying to build that relational connection with that person, but you haven't seen them in a whole month. And then, unfortunately, you have to miss the next one. So now all of a sudden, it's not just a month, it's a month and a half before you've interacted with this person again. Maybe you've seen them at church, but that relational depth, it's going to take forever to build because you haven't seen each other in a month and a half. And then all of a sudden, it's like in a whole quarter of the year, you've only seen each other twice. And this is just the practicality of when you elongate the time between scheduled meetings, and then people have to miss because life inevitably happens, then the extension is even further. And If you do weekly, then it's like, oh, I saw them the week after. If we both missed, it's only been 3 weeks since. And so you just build those touch points to build relational consistency with one another. My last point is this. I think it helps with cognitive overload. When something is in your week every other week, this is my experience. When I have like something that's like an every other week thing, what happens is I forget about it the one week and I fill my time that, the week that I don't have it with something. And then the next week happens and that time that it takes like isn't like cognitively taken in my brain. And then it comes up on me, I'm like, oh yeah, I got that thing today. Like it's the week of the thing, and now I gotta like do that. So I gotta make sure that I'm at it. And it starts becoming more of a chore because it's on, off, you're trying to figure it out. And it's just adding to the decisions and the week that you don't have it, what am I going to do with that time? Am I just ending up wasting it watching Netflix, or am I doing something else productive to have, it scheduled every other week with something else? Like it just becomes more complicated. If it's every week, you don't have to think about it. It's put in your schedule. You get used to it. Tuesday, Thursday, for us, Wednesday night, whatever night of the week it is like, hey, that's, our communities meet up, and that's just what we do that night, and it's scheduled, it's set. I don't have to think about it. And it just makes that easier. It becomes a part of your routine, becomes a part of your life. And then these people become a part of your life. And you're experiencing them delighting in you and pointing you to Jesus and spurring you to love and good works. And the fruit of meeting every week begins to multiply because the fruit's multiplying through the consistency of the interactions. And so that's my argument. Our argument is I think there's a biblical precedent that we should be scheduling it every week. I think that it helps with relational consistency to speed up and build the depth of relationship we need to like truly experience the fruit of a missional community. And then last, it just helps reduce cognitive overload because you're not thinking about, oh, what am I filling my week with when I don't have it? And oh, I forgot. No, it's just another meeting that I have to go to. And it just helps simplify things because I think by nature we just schedule weekly. So that is my argument for why we should, as missional communities, be meeting on a weekly basis, and why when I'm coaching circles in my church's missional communities are called circles. That's what we call them. When I'm coaching one of the first conversations I end up having is like, how often do you meet? And if they're not meeting weekly, making this argument with them and having a conversation of like, what are the hurdles of getting in the way of actually doing this on a weekly basis? So those are some of the things that I just wanted to share here. I'd love to get people's feedback on this. So please comment, give me your feedback. I want to kind of have a discussion on this because honestly, maybe I'm totally wrong, but think that just experientially, this is a conviction that I have, that it's a bit of a hill that I feel like I'll die on, because I just think it's so important. Because it just helps. It helps everything else. If we don't have the consistency in meeting, all the other things become harder and take longer and are just bigger deals because it's just not built in. Like the consistency of gathering helps build in the rest of it. So, and I haven't had pushback as we've grown our groups, it's like we invite new people into the community. It's like, yeah, we meet weekly. And no one bats an eye. It's like, okay, like, yeah, you meet weekly. And for new people kind of entering and kind of feeling things out, there's no expectation that they come every week. They can miss. I mean, the people we have a group of newer groups of people in our circle who I would say have been like regularly coming weekly for 6 months now, maybe. I can't quite put mine. But before that, it was kind of spotty here and there. And then, it's like, oh, this is important to us. And they meet every week and they clear their schedules and they make it a priority in their own life. And it's changing their lives. And they've become friends of ours that we really care about. So I can't continue. I can keep going, is all I'm going to say. So I will stop here. And yeah, so this is my argument for why missional community should meet on a weekly basis. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.